Yeah, so we'll just jump right into it. But introduction to you, tell us, your involvement with archery. You can explain Bow Disciples because there's probably quite a few on the competitive side that may not know the brand and know who you are, and then how you got into competition, and we'll just go from there. And at some point, we'll jump on the subject of the Bowhunter Games, and I think it's cool, that you guys want to shoot it, but also it'll be neat to have a perspective from somebody who is you don't know everything that's going on. So any questions you have are probably relevant to everybody watching, right? So
Yeah, totally. Now, first of all, excited that you give us a shot to get on here and chat. I'm really excited for Bowhunter Games and to get more involved with ASA next year to begin with. I mean, I've always kind of had like a step by step plan of like what our content's going to be here this year, next year, the year after that. And this year was to dive into a lot of competitions, and I did intend to get to some ASAs, but between a regional series we did in Arizona and then Vegas and then Reading, those were like the big ones that we ended up kind of doing the series around. But next year, definitely going to get out to some ASAs and obviously the Bowhunter Games this year. But how I got into archery was simply that my dad was a bow hunter in the 70s, right? So as soon as I was born, I was shooting a bow. I was shooting a bow ever since I was about 3 years old, and I mean a lot, right? That was what I friggin' have always loved to do ever since I was a little kid. That, bike riding, and baseball, right? Those are my things. So I mean, I was shooting a little white longbow in my pull-ups in the yard, stalking rabbits on VHS tapes. We still have them, right? So it's what I've always done. Would tape big stabilizers to them, and I was always shooting. And was always a good shooter too. I mean, would be shooting at the adult stakes when I was like a tiny kid, and smoke in the kids class, but from far out. So just always had some talent there, and obviously a whole lot of drive and love for it, right? So I never really stopped. I mean, there was some times during my bike career, because I was a professional bike rider from 2010 to 2013, and there were some times during that I wasn't shooting as much because I was traveling a ton for bike riding and more focused on that. But I always would hunt every year and shot, and then when I kind of wrapped up bike riding, dove super heavy back into archery. So I've done it forever. And as far as competing, I have, like I said, I've competed forever too, but it was always at local stuff. You know what I mean? And never anything beyond Southern California or Arizona, kind of in our niche over here. So competing was always something I'm used to, indexing targets and like glassing for rings, picking aiming spots. Like that's why I think ASA is actually where I'll excel. Something like the Bowhunter Games is what I've shot forever, right? And with bow hunting setups primarily. So I feel really comfortable coming into something like Bowhunter Games. So for me to actually take a bow and make it a target rig and go to Vegas with an 8x lens and shooting 27s and long bars, that to me was like these target guys going to bow hunter games. You know what I mean? Like I was a total fish out of water with 6 weeks of prep. Coming into Vegas, that was all my time ever indoor was 6 weeks. And went really well. I mean, to get into Vegas, I obviously all the videos are up, but ah, dude, it was something. It was really something prepping for that. Never
yeah,
doing indoor. I've never even shot a league, right? Never. Still now I haven't. All I've shot is Vegas. So as I was practicing, I was like not, it took me about a month of my 6 weeks. I got a 300 in Oregon. Yeah, in Oregon with Greg Poole, right? I shot my first
yeah,
one. Then I started to shoot them a little more consistent. Paige and Greg really helped me get the bow a little more forgiving. So I learned about that. It was a big difference. And then coming to Vegas, I was like, I had to shoot a outdoor tournament for this Triple Crown for that belt buckle series I did the weekend before, right? The weekend before Vegas, I had to shoot outdoor. And I was like, dude, I had been shooting indoor like it was my full-time job. It was like I was checking in at work on performance archery every day. I was there like 4 or 5 hours, maybe, yeah, probably like 4 hours. So I'm pounding so much time indoor, probably 20 to 30 hours a week. Not kidding, for weeks and weeks, the 6 weeks leading up. And then I go do this outdoor tournament. So I'm like, okay, like I haven't practiced outdoor at all, but this is what I'm comfortable with. It'll be fine. So I go out there and it felt like I was shooting on easy mode. It was so easy. I mean, just the targets are a little different. They're, like the Reinhardt, so you're shooting 12s, 10s, not quite like ASA target, but I mean, I was crushing 12s, like shooting so good, and won the tournament, won the buckle, ended up winning that series. But when I went back to shoot indoor, I had 1 day. So we came back from that and we had 1 day to shoot indoor before we left for Vegas. And I'm like, all right, I went in there and practiced, and I realized quite quickly that at least for me, it's much harder to transition from outdoor back to indoor. So I'm struggling, like I have been feeling so good shooting like 299s, 300s, like right in there every time. And I dump a 297, right? And it just felt awful. I felt not good. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, if I could shoot a 297 in Vegas, like I would be super stoked, because everyone tells me you're going to do way, way worse in
Right.
Vegas. So I'm like, even though I felt awful, if I do this, I'll be stoked, right? So I get there and the nerves just wallop me day one, which I did not expect, right? But I come out and I shoot a 297, right? First day. Second day, 297. Then third day, 298. So I shot at 892. But right about what I shot in practice is what I did every day in Vegas. So I was really like proud of that. And then Reading was, again, I felt no nerves at Reading. That just felt like what I normally do. Did learn some setup stuff there that, I had a bow hunting bow, basically, sight at least, even though I was in freestyle. And I lost a lot of points just because of the sight. Most of my misses were between 8 and 15 yards. And it was because my sight had a dead stop at 20. It couldn't move up. So when the cut chart saying between that range, I'm shooting for like 14 at this, right? And I'm holding low, like right on the bottom, and I'm lost a ton of points there. So ended up shooting a 15-14. I think realistically I should have been 15-25, 15-30 had I have had a proper target sight. But I was like, okay, I'm happy with that showing. And then Bowhunter Games is where I think, like I said, setup wise, I feel really, really good. I'm basically going to use the bow I used from Reading. Make some, I mean, it has a hunting sight. I just got to pull the lens off and switch the front bar out. And then I think it's regulation then. So be good to go.
What arrows did you use in Reading?
HLRs, Victory HLRs, and I'm going to use either those or the Rival X in Bowhunter Games. So same thing, 204s.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you gave a quick snapshot. I don't know. We didn't actually do a proper introduction at the beginning of this, but I'm Josh from ASA. With us today, James Visser from Bow Disciples.
Yes, sir.
So all that you explained, your Vegas, Reading, and I know you put a ton of content out, but for the people listening that are not familiar with Bow Disciples, give us a quick rundown of how long you've been doing that, what it is about, and where they can find your content.
Yeah, so we've been doing it since 2018. And you can find us everywhere. It's all Bow Disciples across the board. We don't have any like crazy handles anywhere. And you can find us on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, bowdisciples.com, YouTube, of course. And I think that's about it. But made content for archery and hunting since 2018 and went full time with it in 2024. So we're just rolling right along.
I mean, it's great content. Out of those platforms, which one's your favorite?
YouTube's my favorite, yeah, for sure. And that's all we used to actually do was YouTube, and then we started branching out to everything. And the main purpose for that was, really it was because if we were to get hacked on something, I wanted to be able to rebuild. And, if you have 6 big platforms, it's easier to rebuild one that goes down. That was the initial reason. And then the other reason is there's obviously just different demographics on each platform. So, we like to be well-rounded and kind of be everywhere.
Yeah. So the YouTube content that you guys put out, like I had seen stuff throughout the years when you connected with Paige and started putting videos and we're getting ready to Vegas. That's when I really dialed in and I was, stoked every day to see how you did and follow along your journey shooting. So through YouTube, I've been told, and we should say this is the first that you and I have actually connected outside of a couple text messages. So I'm just going to ask questions I'm curious about as well.
Yeah.
The one thing that people have told me, like, you two need to connect because James is all about, like, he's super passionate about archery, all about growing archery at all levels. So your YouTube content, you definitely feel that. Share a little bit of your vision for not only what you've done since 2018 with Bow Disciples, but where you want to take that and how you see that helping the sport grow.
Yeah, for me, it's always been about I want people to know that they can just get into archery and shoot and have a good time, whether you ever hunt or ever shoot a competition or not. You could just shoot in the backyard and have a boatload of fun, get your mind off work or school or whatever you're doing, and just have a personal challenge that, look, you don't have to be Michael Phelps to shoot a bow. You can kind of pretty much anyone can shoot a bow. It's a very approachable sport, and I think that's really cool. It's also something that's very, very hard to get really good at. I mean, for some people it's easier than others, but it's there's always room to improve. Even at Reading, no one has ever shot it perfect still, right? It's been around forever. And eventually someone will, but then beyond that, it's like there's still room to always get better. You're not going to do that every time. So
Right.
whether you're at the lowest level or the highest level, there's room to improve as a shooter, but also as a person just from shooting. So I think for a long time, when we first came in the space, to be honest with you, our stuff was pretty edgy, pretty wild, pretty fun, which it still is like that, depending on which video. But like our stuff has never been, the cookie cutter. Like we're going to be like hard and motivational and like super technical with knowledge. Like none of that's our lane, and that stuff's great, right? I'm a fan of that. But when we came into it, I'm like, there is enough people pushing motivation and being hard and being knowledgeable and teaching. Like, I just want to be a guy who says, hey, you can do this and have a lot of fun. I want to be entertaining, right?
Yeah.
And through entertainment, I think that is how you can get people into the sport that they're watching on TV. Maybe their husband's watching and the wife and kids are listening. They're like, dude, these people seem like they are a riot, right? Having just a great time. We're busting up laughing. I want to go shoot a bow in the backyard and, play our beer pong game or our, golf game or whatever. Like, I want to do that because that looks fun. That's always been our lane. Occasionally we'll do stuff that's more educational or whatever, but like that is not our main niche. Our main niche is I want you to turn the TV on and have a riot watching us do what we really do. There's no bit to it.
Right.
It's just we like to have a good time all the time. And even at competition, like, dude, Vegas, I had so much fun, right? I loved Vegas. And I did really well. I made some money and made the far, and I'm competitive, right? I've always been competitive. Like I want to win stuff, or at least do the best I can. And
Right.
but you can still have a great time while doing that, and learn a lot about yourself, and just have a cool journey with it. So for me, that's really been it. Is just archery can be fun, and people can get into it, whether or not you ever hunt or compete.
Yeah. And that's really, so, my backstory is I was not part of the competition archery world for years. I was like you, bow hunted, could shoot in the backyard. Buddies would come over, we'd be drinking adult beverages, and like, I bet I can hit the deer in the eyeball. Like that was what we did. It was fun. My daughter came along. She wanted to start hunting. I knew nothing. I lived in Lancaster, had no idea what Lancaster Archery Supply was. I got online. I knew I didn't want to teach my daughter how to do it. So I'm like, oh, let me look. There's this bow shop called Lancaster Archery. Let's go take lessons. You can.
Yeah.
And she did that and then wanted to compete. And the first ASA that we both went to in 2017, like we fell in love with. And the competition was nice, but it was the community of people. There were people, it was her first one. I mean, every event we've got people like they just started shooting a bow that week and they're like, yeah, there's this big competition. Let's go over and check it out. So they, you had 8-year-olds, 80-year-olds, professionals, people just starting, and it was a community that was just super cool to be a part of. And that, transitioned to now we own it and
It's crazy.
What I want to, your whole thing of having fun, we talked with T-Bone last week, and that's the element that I think is missing in the translation of the archery community. the competition can be there and there's people making a living. So there is a level of seriousness there, and they're great people and they have a lot of fun. But the story of, man, how do we get people to realize just how much fun it is to shoot a bow? To your point, whether you ever want to compete or not, you want to play beer pong in the backyard. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that kind of, there's certain elements of the industry that we just, can't change or can't change quickly. And that's where the idea of the Bowhunter Games kind of come up. It's like, all right, well, let's throw a huge party, put some money out there, make it a good payday for somebody that can win, but then include a festival that we can tell the story of just how much fun archery is, as well as build in spectators, right? You have a big party, thousands of people there. Hey, stay and watch the shoot down, because the beer trucks will be there. The live bands are going to be playing. Like, we literally, 3 years ago when we first started talking about the shoot down idea for this, I mean, I looked at the Waste Management Open and was like, we need a whole 16. And that's our fifth target in the shoot down. So some of these pros that are used to walking in and will give somebody a dirty look if they're talking.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that's perfect example. Waste management, right? Look at golf, dude. Really, golf went through the same transformation. If you think about it, golf wasn't high energy, even maybe 10 years ago it had started a little bit, but that wasn't really till quite a bit more recent.
Right.
That golf became this thing that you go to a golf tournament, especially one like Waste Management, and a lot of the crowd is under 30. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was never a thing. So it's possible in a sport like archery as well, because archery and golf really are quite similar. I mean, neither are great spectator sports, but like if you do it right, it can become that, and a huge factor of golf turning the corner. And I think archery too is YouTube. Really, I mean, dude, you see golf on YouTube is giant. It's a huge niche on YouTube, right? And archery, I can't even believe how big it's gotten, the last couple of years. And not just for me. I mean, obviously, I'm blessed to be one of the people who's kind of been in that. But, like, there's a whole bunch of guys or even girls that are really, really big on YouTube and getting a lot of viewership on a daily basis, And who would have thought that archery would be as big as it is on a platform like YouTube,
right?
Even just 5 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty crazy how far it's come. So you can only imagine if we're here in 2026 in events like Total Archery Challenge and Bowhunter Games and, Bow Disciples Challenge, things like that, continue to kind of make it more of a waste management type feel, coupled with the content.
Right.
Dude, you never know. 5 years could be a whole different look than it is right now. And I think already right now is a whole different look than it was 5 years before. You know what I mean? Like, I think archery's seen great growth. Now, I'm not a shop owner, right? So I can't speak to it like a Lancaster Archery. But I can speak from viewership, and our viewership is way higher. I can speak from it from our website, and it sells way more. Right. And our event has only gotten bigger every year. So, I don't know, but it seems like we're in a good spot, and I think our trajectory and our path moving forward looks very bright.
1,000%. And I can't reiterate that enough, because there is, there's the flip side of that narrative where archery's struggling and it's going to die off. And you hit a lot of things there. The future is very positive. I look at membership more than I look at our big events attendance, because there's so many variables, weather, travel costs, the whole 9 yards. And our membership and local participation is, the last 2 years, had incredible growth. And that, to me, is, hey, this industry is growing. The other thing that you hit there, and, you've probably heard a little buzz about this, but between the competition crowd and the content crowd and the fun shooters, there's this friction that seems like maybe not so much from like you, the content creator, the tax shooters, but the competitive side looks at that and like, here's the reality. Golf was the perfect example, because the YouTube content, there are people on there that they're great golfers, will never be a professional and haven't wanted to play professional golf, but they're making golf content and getting millions of views. That's good for golf. And the same is true for archery, because James, you've started competing. You've shot 2 this year. you haven't been a competitor, but you've been bringing people into the archery space and getting views that competition archery media, bow junkie media, you name it, whatever it is, they're not going to get those views. And so you're reaching a new crowd, they get an interest, and then they discover all that archery has to offer. So I put that out there as a disclaimer for everybody watching that, you know, we're one family. If you like to shoot a bow and you have fun, we're in this together. And it's not the non-competition crowd, the competition crowd, the recurve shooters, the compound. Like, who cares? If pulling a string back puts a smile on your face, we're all part of the same family. So sorry, that was my soapbox there because I see it in the comments all over social media.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, well,
That.
dude, you know what's funny about what you said is it's very true. And it's the case in it's not just archery and hunting, it's any niche sport. Doesn't matter if it's motocross or rock climbing or, you know, with swimming, whatever. Anything's gonna have this, right? Especially in the internet age, there's always gonna be this like, oh, social media is terrible for our industry or it's great. There's always gonna be this. And it's going to be that way moving forward. I mean, I watched a video about trees one time and they were saying how social media is terrible for trees. I'm not kidding you. I watched a whole thing on YouTube about it, right? But to me, it's kind of a goofy argument to like, because you know that social media is never going away. It's
Right.
just not. It's a new era. It is what it is. If anything's going to go away, it's like network television
For
or
sure.
radio. You know what I mean? Like, if we're being realistic, those are the things that might phase out, and your streaming platforms and your YouTubes and stuff like that are going to become CNN or whatever, you know, or the equivalent of that 20 years ago. But you're absolutely right that each little niche, right, has these like they kind of tease the other niche. So like your competition shooters will make fun of tack and your tack shooters. Like just go to like an archery meme page and you'll see them just getting
Oh yeah.
destroying tack shooters in the comments, right? But then it goes the opposite way as well, right? Tack shooters will make fun of people with their like goofy setups and your competition shooters. And I have a rare place to speak from this because I actually can shoot at a pretty high level. And I have done a lot of fun shooting and I bow hunt. So like I've been in each one of the niches separately. And what I've learned is all the people are the same. They're all the same.
Right.
The competition people are just as fun as the people at TAC. The TAC people are just as fun and a lot better shooters than I think people realize.
Oh yeah.
Uh, they're all the same, bro. Like it's all the same. If I could get, that's why we did the competition series was to try to open up bring down the barrier to entry for a tack shooter or a recreational shooter to go, you know what, shoot, I never thought about going to Vegas, but I watched James series and that looked really cool and fun and challenging. I'm going to do it, right? And same thing now that I go to all these competitions I've been to, I have told so many tournament pros, hey, you got to come do some of the attack stop or two with me. I'm telling you, it's the best, right? And they're interested and the other side's interested. And it's actually, I have a story about it that's pretty funny. So we were at TAC, Pennsylvania, right? Which, bro, it's bananas. That
Right.
event is unbelievable. Like, I can't, so last year it was big, but it was so rainy that you couldn't really tell. This year the weather was freaking perfect. And I mean, dude, it was insane how many people were here. Like, it was just nuts. So I'm at the gas booth hanging out. Always one of the best booths, by the way. Great
Absolutely.
times. One of our great sponsors as well. But I'm hanging out there and talking to a couple of the guys that work there. And they were saying, like, dude, I think the series is that you're doing the competition stuff is really gonna like potentially bridge a pretty like large gap of people coming over from this type of stuff to go compete. And I was like, oh, dude, I was like, I'm already telling you, I'm not saying this just to like inflate myself or whatever, but I was like, dude, at Vegas, I had so many people come up that were like, literally the only reason I'm here is because I've been watching the videos and I wanted to give it a shot too. And I said, same thing at Reading. I had at least a handful of people say that. And that was with only 6 weeks of doing the content, right?
Right.
Right as I'm telling them this, and they're like, oh, he's probably just like making this shit up. This dude walks up to the booth and goes, "Hey man, I just wanted to let you know I'm doing Vegas next year because of watching your videos. I just wanted to say thanks," and walks away. And I'm like, see, that shit happens all the
Yeah.
time, right? But it took somebody to go out there, and I'm not saying I'm like a martyr, but like it just took someone to show people from one side of the lane, like, hey, this other side of the lane is also really fun and cool.
Right.
And the nice part is now that I'm in the competition stuff and going to get more invested in the next, 12 months, now I'm in that community too. So then they get to also see the stuff we do over at the recreational stuff. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? But you can't bridge the gap unless you're like saturated in both a little bit. So that was a big reasoning behind it. And then also like I just, realized that we had a whole different demographic of shooters we could reach. And I'm not scared to go compete and put up scores. So figured let's give it a rip.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you doing that. And that's one thing that excites me about Bowhunter Games. Just looking at registration so far in the money class, we're pulling so many different genres of archery and people together. I mean, Brady Ellison has signed up in the money class, multiple time Olympian. Casey Kaufhold, they won bronze together at the last Olympic. Both recurve shooters, both signed up in the money classes. Mikey Schlosser's coming over, so, and then you bring in the hunting crowd as well. Whether you're coming to compete in the money class or just come be part of the fun class, we're going to have a lot of stories for the sport of archery as a whole, because we're bringing a whole conglomeration of people together that wouldn't cross paths otherwise, and I think it's a combination of, okay, that's a pretty big payday in the archery world, 60,000 for first in the open and 40 for the women's, but the concerts, throwing in the fun, it's $100. If you're coming just for the fun, and I know the competition side, they cry a little bit. It's like, you're not paying back. It's just for fun. I'm like, yeah. It's $100 for 4 nights of concerts, and
Yeah, dude, that's crazy, bro.
and like you probably, and here's the reality. I've not said this, and I'll get just torn apart on the social media. But let's be honest, in competition, like 98% of those people are doing it for fun anyway, because they're not getting on the podium. So what's right? This is just 4 days of like an incredible archery party. So yeah, it's just fun. Like archery can be fun, and if that's
big time.
If you can't get your mind around just doing it for fun, then shoot the money class. See how good you are. I was there on Wednesday. We actually shot some content with Chance Bobeff out there, because Death Valley, where the money class is going to shoot, it's in this valley, and the angles, we could not, like, we tried to video it, we took photos, and you could not get the scope of the angles that you're going to be shooting at. So I was like, Chance lives down the road. So I called him like, hey, could you bring a bow over and just shoot a target? And even him shooting it, you don't get the full understanding until you see him go to get his arrows out of the target. And the two of us, we walked up and we're both out of breath. And it was like a 57-yard shot, but it was like 32-degree straight up, elevation. And so that, you kind of get everything. And that was really, we didn't try to copy tack. We didn't try to just do another competition. It's how do we get anybody who enjoys shooting a bow? Like, there's something there for you. Like, bring your beer pong targets, man. We'll set up an area. We can do that. We're going to have steel target challenge, long distance challenges, and just, there's going to be targets everywhere. And we want it to be fun. And I'm so glad you guys are coming, just to help tell that story and have the experience yourselves as well.
Yeah. When is the sign up deadline for the money class? Because that is what I'm intending to shoot. I want to make sure I don't miss it.
So that does have cap limitation or capacity. So that caps at 600. There still is space. It is, as we've started kind of talking about it more, and we backed off for a little bit early in the season for a host of reasons, but that is filling up. So if it doesn't hit, and capacity 600 in the money class, if we go well beyond that, then we'll look at how we can spread it out. We don't have to follow the traditional roles of, everybody has to shoot the same time, the same, like, this is new. So we can accommodate. But July 29th is the deadline for registration. And that is just for the audience, that is the money class and the fun classes.
Okay.
There will be no on-site registration. The cap for the fun classes is 6,000. So, if we would hit that number, that will close before the 29th. There's still a good bit of space in the fun side, so I'm not overly concerned there, but I wouldn't delay on registering for anybody watching.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, so I'll definitely get registered. Let's see here. I'm on the website. So for the money shoot is how much is it?
250 for the money shoot.
Okay. Yeah,
And
250. There you go.
that includes everything. I'll give you a rundown of the schedule because we finalized that this week. It'll go up on the website. We're actually going to start the money class qualifying. Day 1 will be Thursday. Day 2 will be Friday. At the numbers we're at now, we didn't feel comfortable doing like a Friday, Saturday with a shoot down Saturday night. And that gives us a buffer for weather and stuff like that. So we'll have the money classes shooting Thursday and Friday. If you sign up for the money class, the event space will actually open on Wednesday at noon. Only for money class participants. And that's so you can come in and practice because the first line in the money class will go out at 9:00 on Thursday morning. So that we wanted to make sure you guys had time to practice. Another really cool thing with Wednesday is we're bringing over some military groups from Fort Campbell. And so we're having a military event that they can come and shoot everything at no cost.
That's cool.
We're going to do some fun things with them. So opening up the money class practice on Wednesday also benefits that, like, hey, there'll just be some cool people around, and to be able to rub shoulders with the military, thank them for their service, go shoot a couple targets with them, drink a beer, have a good time. So that's Wednesday for the money class. 8:00 on Thursday morning, the gates open for everything. So that's when all the ranges will be full swing. We aren't doing tee times. People can come. We're going to have a live billboard, LED screen in the vendor area that'll list all the courses we have, max distance, how challenging the courses are, and then what the current wait time is. And that'll always be live. So you pick, I want to go the Delta McKenzie Western Range. Okay, you've got 110 max. It's a relatively difficult course, 5-minute wait. I'll walk down there. We'll have people at every range helping people get in. And it does follow the ASA layout. It's not like the TAC or IBO where you kind of hike a course, like a loop. We've got roads down the middle of all the ranges with lanes going off to the side. So say you want to go shoot Delta McKenzie, the first 10 targets are backed up. We can plug you in at target 11 and you just shoot the whole way back around to target 11. And so it's pretty flexible there. Then we'll do the 1-day qualifying on Thursday, concerts in the evening. Friday will be day 2 of qualifying, concerts in the evening, as well as this is something you and I will talk more about, but we're going to do a celebrity team shoot on Friday night. And so we're taking some, as I look through registration, we're taking, content personalities, bow hunting or hunting personalities, competition personalities, and we're gonna pick 12 people that we know people will want to shoot with, and we're actually going to do a silent auction. So you buy your partner, and that we'll probably open that prior to the tournament. We'll get everybody's kind of mugshot up on the website, and people can start the bidding. We'll close bidding Friday at 5:00, and we're going to do that team shoot on the actual finals venue, which is a 5-target course kind of that weaves through the vendor village, comes into an amphitheater. There's a big pond. The last target is actually on a pier in the pond, and you're shooting across the water, stage there. Just again, that builds the story, right? Like, so James Visser's there. Some kids watched all your videos. You're part of the shoot. And
I love it.
We'll take that money. That will also go to a charity at Fort Campbell, which will all be listed on the website as well. And then Saturday is, we'll do the big show in the evening with the shoot off, and it's the top 10 women and the top 10 open. We'll go into that shoot off, and it'll follow a golf format. So 9 and 10 will start on target 5, work their way in, and the higher qualifiers will follow them into the final course. And we're kind of changing the way that broadcast and production has been done for competition archery as well. We're going to have cameras at every stake. The vendor or the spectator area, like I said, is kind of an amphitheater. We'll have an LED screen there playing the live feed that will be going out from the event. It'll all be tape delay like golf. So, we can follow 9 and 10, say they're on target 5, and Levi Morgan comes out as a top qualifier. He's on stake 1 and drills a 14. We have access to just jump back and forth very much like golf. So kind of changing the format up there. That'll be Saturday night. We'll end Saturday night with the award presentation, have a band come in, throw a big party Friday night or Saturday night. Sunday, then the fun ranges are open till 3:00. So that's the schedule in a snapshot.
Dude, I can't wait. I mean, I've always loved doing stuff different, and this is something that's different, for the space. Everything about it is different. You're taking good elements of, what you guys already do at ASA, what you've seen, TAC do, and then what you've seen golf do, and you're sort of like combining a mesh of all of them, which I think is super bitchin'. It also sounds like the media stuff is next level, which is really cool because that's what, like you said earlier, is going to ultimately grow the sport more and more. So I'm super excited about it. I think everything you just said sounds bitchin'. I'm super excited about all of it. And I mean, I think the idea of having the finals course or the shoot-off course weave through the vendors and kind of integrate where the people are hanging out is really, really smart. I think that'll be awesome.
I hope. And the way the vendor village, and we've got a ton of exhibitors already. We'll be well over 100 different exhibitors there. Everything from the bow manufacturers and component manufacturers to different hunting things. I actually got a guy this week. I'm like, hey, start reaching out to like the antler ring companies and, those kind of things, because we're going to have wives, significant others, people there that maybe aren't shooting a bow. They're just coming because that's the other thing. Spectators are getting free. And so try to have something for everybody. And the way that lines up, like, I just think it'll be super cool. You can sit, the party that the gas booth is, right? It's like,
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
You can sit inside of their tent, enjoy what's in their coolers, and be watching the finals. So, that's the one thing I will say, because your audience, I've said it in some other platforms, but your audience may not have heard me say this. This is not, we're not trying to take over or copy TAC. I think that's just, I want to articulate that. The last podcast I did, I said, I hope this pushes people to TAC, because I think that's one of the best things that the sport has going for it at the moment. And if you're shooting the money class, an ASA range on the Pro-Am is not getting you ready for it. We're
for sure.
Flat fairways. It's going to resemble more of those TAC style shoots. And so I think the best thing for archery is pros to still, like you already said it, for pros to go out there. Like that's your fan base. Like every pro sport has a fan base. And so archery, we've already talked about it, historically terrible to watch. Yeah. So to think you're going to get somebody who's not an archer to just turn it on and be like, oh, this is super cool. Probably not happening. So the TAC crowd, we know they love archery. Yeah. So, it's such a great place. And we're not, I don't see the Bowhunter Games turning into a massive tour. I won't say we'll only do one, but it'll be a supplemental kind of year party that we all look forward to. Whether you're a TAC shooter, an ASA shooter, you like to shoot spots, you shoot in the backyard, once a year, this is going to be our big party.
I love it. So what is the furthest shot on the money course? Do you guys have like a limit or no?
So the money course, I can run through the rolls just kind of real quick. So the max distance there will be 80 yards. The elevation and declines are where you're going to get, and we, in the fun side of things, we'll have targets over 100 yards. But when we had that much money, Bowhunter set up, it's like, hey, 80 yards. You put a javelina out there at 80 yards on a hill where we hide them in the shadows. Like,
oh yeah,
that's
that's good.
How many people do you think will miss a target down here? And he's looking around the ridges. He's like, quite a few.
Yeah.
He's like, but that's okay. It's fun. And everybody's got to shoot the same target. So it'll be 80 yards, 30 targets a day. Bowhunter setup, and that is, our rolls are 2 pages. I think for most people that are shooting a hunting bow, whatever they have fits inside of that. Some of the target archers, that really try to maximize their bows. there's some questions they'll have that may not have been in there, but we wanted to keep it simple. And so it's 35 axle bow, 18-inch front stabilizer max. So you can't put an 18-inch front stabilizer on there and then stack the weight on it. You can use a 15, put 3 inches of weight, whatever, but 18 inches from riser to end. On the rear stabilizer, it's 15 inches. No lenses. You can use a clarifier or verifier, just because I know people use that, clear up their eyesight. 246 inside diameter arrows, screw in points, no glue ins, so your hunting arrows, screw those points in there. The sight it can be a mover, it can be a slider, but it cannot have horizontal micro adjustment. So people seem to be a little confused with what that is. Your windage typically clicks. Your right to left, you can feel it, it clicks. We don't want that, can't happen on the horizontal. So when you open up your slider, if you click it and it's clicking or stopping, that's a micro adjust. And we're not allowing those on the courses. People, and I know there now are 2 or 3 hunting sites out there that have those. We're still kind of sticking with the no clicks. Are you looking to see what site you have on your bow?
No, I know which one I have. So I have the dual track that does have micro adjust, but you need an Allen wrench to break it loose. So could you use that or no?
Let me check with Scott on that one, and we'll do an update on that. I don't like to make final calls on the rolls without consulting the tournament director.
Yeah, I would think you could, but I just want to make sure that I don't got to switch it out before I come out. And then what? So could you do V bars as long as they're under 15?
1 bar.
Just one.
Just one. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
1 bar. And then the only other thing I didn't hit, and then you can fire away with questions, is your arrow rest. And that needs to be a drop away rest. So, and it has to be, I know there's hybrids out there that you can lock down to a blade rest. It needs to be either cable or limb driven, and you have to have the drop away working. The only exception to the drop away rest is a fully enclosed. Somebody comes out there with a whisker biscuit, that's legal. Really just going away with the more traditional target rest and the lizard tongue.
Do you have to run a quiver on the bow?
You do not have to. You can.
Okay. I think that would have been a good rule, maybe. Quiver on the bow.
We went back and forth with that, but it's like, man, there's quite a few people that take their quiver off even for hunting. Especially the tail hunter. Like it comes off.
In the tree for sure. Yeah. That would be, dude. I love the rules. I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. It's going to make people, especially the target side of people, have to really change their stuff a lot. Whereas your guys that really shoot really, really well at stuff like tack, they're not going to have to change their stuff, and the courses will feel easier for them. So you know what I mean? I think there will be some sleepers that people had never even heard of that are going to do really well. If I had to guess.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see. And, that was part of the reason we went with the hunting style setup is if you look at, what is 6.5 million archery licenses sold in the country a year. And, let's say half of them are crossbows, which I don't think it's that high. That's still a lot of people that are shooting a hunting setup. And that's not to mention the people that just shoot it in their backyard that aren't even hunters, that they just go, they get involved in archery. And so we wanted to lower the barrier of entry for people to get involved. But also, there's the flip side from a business standpoint. If you talk to the bow manufacturers, 95% of their sales are hunting bows.
Oh, yeah, especially in the U.S. Now in other countries, I know target bows sell more because a lot of other countries in Europe, you can't even hunt. So, they got to, shoot indoor or target stuff. So, yeah, I mean, dude, when you go to any sort of fun shoot, you hardly ever see full blown target rigs. And part of it is they're so expensive, dude. When I price out my target rig, bro, it's crazy expensive. When you buy a Hamskea peep with the different clarifiers, and it's a peep that's $250, and each piece of glass is 70, bro. It's crazy. But so I think hunting bows to that point are a lot more accessible, because they're still expensive, but to build them out is way less than a target rig, So I think you'll get a big turnout just because it's hunting bow specific,
people have it. And I'm actually, so the first bow, I had several hand-me-down bows when I got started as a teenager, but the first bow I bought, I went and bought a whitetail legend, and the bear whitetail legend.
Oh yeah.
And when I was at T-Bone's house last week, I was like, man, I wish I had that bow, because I would set that thing up. And he looked at me, he's like, there's one hanging back there. Do you want to set it up? I'm like, I do.
That's
Just
cool.
break out some old school, have some fun with it. And so what other questions do you have, relatively new to the competition space and hearing about Bowhunter Games? Because I'm sure others would have the same questions.
Well, for me, I mean, are people allowed to like bring a camera person and film if they want? I think that would be something good if y'all are allowing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
As much storytelling that we can get, and not just for, Bowhunter Games, but the capture people having fun with their bows. As much of that content as we can get. It's great.
Perfect. Are you doing any speed limits on the bows or no?
So we did do a 330 feet per second speed limit.
All right. Okay.
Most people's hunting bows fall under that. They're in that low 320s on the high end. And really the only reason we implemented a speed rule is just for safety. And if we get above that, our safety zones needed to increase and how far a potential arrow could go and that kind of stuff. So, and people drawing their bow safely, et cetera. So that was more of a safety concern than a competition rule.
Dude, I'm just excited. I wish it was next weekend. That's how I feel. I think this is going to be one of the most fun weekends of the year. And I love that it's a competition too. Like, I think that's so fun that you can do just shoot for fun or the competition. I actually just did a podcast with Sean from TAC for their podcast. I don't even know what it's called. I think it's just Total Archery Challenge podcast. It's not out yet, but I asked him if he ever intended to do like have a section where you could sign up for competition, because I think that'd be cool. And he was like, "No, we're never going to do that." So I think that, and that makes sense. It's just not their lane. But I do love, and I always have loved that they give out scorecards, because I score everything I shoot. I never don't score. So for me, that's cool. In our group, that's cool. But I think the fact that y'all have both options is really neat, because you're inadvertently going to mesh the communities, just like I said, our competition series has sort of done that. This event's going to do that, because if you did not have the competition section, then your target shooters aren't going to come.
Right.
So now they're going to come to it, and so are the fun, the people that shoot local shoots and for fun in the yard and shoot tack. They'll also join when then once the people hang out, like I said earlier, they'll realize, hey, you know what? Actually, all these people are cool.
Yeah. And the venue, we haven't talked much about that. We were out this week and filmed a bunch of content to kind of show the venue. It's unreal. I mean, it is just a crazy cool venue. The owners are, and we were there in November, and I was like, okay, I need roads here. I think we could put a range here. That'll require a road. And it was like next day, heavy machinery in there. They're not just like pushing trees down. They're clearing it, rolling it, packing it down, bringing in gravel, packing that down. I mean, the work that they're doing at Pine Ridge Farm, Joey and Melissa, insane. Clarksville itself is about 15, 20 minutes away from their property. A lot of cool eateries, bars and stuff downtown. Austin P University's right there, so it has like that Southern college town feel to it. And then, an hour down the road, you're in Nashville. So you can go hang out in Broadway in the evening, or, come in a day early or a day late. And maybe we should do that. We should all get a party bus in Nashville either the night before or the night after.
I will do that. Yes, I will do that. So I'm going to be staying with Gas Bowstrings at the event. So I'm very excited about that. I'm staying with them in Montana as well. So, but I think it'll be a good time. I know it'll be a good time. I'm going to fly in. If we're competing on Thursday and practice is Wednesday, I guess I'll probably show up Tuesday, would be my guess, huh?
Yeah. And you'll fly into Nashville.
Nashville.
So yeah, we'll look at maybe Tuesday night or Sunday night. I'll talk to Eric because I'm sure that's something Eric at Gas Bowstrings he would want to be involved in.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Let's
sure.
invite
But
people and get a party bus in Broadway. But okay, so Bowhunter Games. Any other questions you have? Because I want to ask some questions about your shoot. And just, I think it's a cool story to talk about the fair because I don't know if we were recording yet when we did that.
oh no, yeah. No, man, I think that's it. I just want to say I think it's really cool what you're doing, and I admire it because, like I said, one of the big things that we're very blessed to have such a cool list of sponsors that we work with, right? But to me, it's always so important to get sponsors that are not in archery into archery because to me that's how you really grow the sport, and I know you guys are working on that and doing that with this event, and us personally that's something I'm always pushing. I love our sponsors in the industry, and that is most of them, but we have ones like Kawasaki that are not in the industry, and we're always working on ones that aren't, like I would love to one day have a Verizon or a Walmart or a Rockstar Energy or something like that. And that's always what we're striving for, is because I don't want to just do the same thing that everyone else does and do the safe, easy option. I want to push it to the next level. And the only way to do that is to bring in outside eyeballs. And that's why we do videos that aren't really like anyone else's, or try to. And we try to have sponsors that no one else really has, because once they're in the sport, they bring in a whole bunch of new revenue and new eyeballs, which in turn gets more people to buy bows and have fun shooting their bow. So I really appreciate the effort you guys are doing, and I admire it. I think it's really, really impressive, and it's inspiring to me. And I'm gonna keep it going. So I appreciate it. I just want to say good job.
Well, thanks, James, and thanks for all you guys are doing out there. Tell us a little bit about your shoot,
Yeah.
and then just what's going on in the fair, because I think that's just a cool story of how archery's growing.
Yeah, yeah. So our shoot's really cool. Bow Disciples Challenge is what it's called. This was our fourth year. The first year, super raw, had no idea what we were doing really, and our platforms weren't big enough to do it at the time, but we just did it anyways. And we had like 100, and I think it was 144 people, which isn't bad. I was actually pretty happy with that. And then year two, we had 230. Year three, we had 331. And then year four, we had 314. So a little bit of a decrease, but it was 3 days rather than two. So it ended up actually being a larger scale event. And California gas prices at the time were like above $7 a gallon. So every event I knew was getting hammered in attendance. So even the fact we came close, I was really, really happy. And our event
Sure.
it's awesome. It's like, it's my favorite thing we do. It's also the most work, and what makes it pretty bitchin' is obviously it's very much inspired by like a tax setup, but it's a little more raw. So we don't have, this year we had like no vendors hardly. We just had food vendors, our check-in booth, our merch booth, and we did that on purpose. Last year we had a fair amount of vendors, and it was like, you know what, this year I want people just to like shoot, hang out. We had a party scheduled Friday night, a concert Saturday night, good food options, amazing courses that we built out, four of them. And I just want people to come and hang out and be in the community. Like, I don't, because we're in a campground too. Like, a campground is attached to where our range is.
Awesome.
So our event's just special, man. It's super fun. People come from all over the U.S. and obviously a lot of people from California. And yeah, super stoked. It went well. It's always the third weekend of May.
Okay.
And yeah, Lord willing, we'll do it our fifth year next May. But it went super great. 3 days was definitely the move. It had always been two prior, and three was definitely better. So yeah, super excited about it and looking forward to doing it in the future. But I think any sort of archery event where, like, I remember back to year one when we did it, the problem to me was that anytime I'd go do a local 3D shoot, and turn in the scorecard, it's like you shoot, turn in the scorecard, and then you leave, right? That's it. And then you're like, go on with your day. And I was like, I want people to come shoot and then like hang out and vibe and like make friends and meet people. Right. And that's to me what the whole point was. And I think that, something like Bowhunter Games or a Total Archery Challenge, that is what those events do so well and what sets them apart from like a standard ASA shoot. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's really cool. So that was kind of always our goal, and just growing on it each year and learning and getting better at it. I think each year we get more efficient. Courses get better and better.
Yeah.
They're all like hike through trails, you know. It's not a competition. I have thought about doing a competitive like class that you could sign up for because of course we do scorecards and things like that, and I love competing. So maybe one day we'll mix in like a bit of a competition element, but not yet. And then as far as the fair goes, this is actually pretty cool. So San Diego Archers, which is our one of, I guess you would say, three local 3D places you can shoot 3Ds. You can shoot a 3D shoot 3 weekends out of every month here in San Diego, right? So you have San Diego Archers, Bear State Bowhunters, which is who we do our event with, and Lemon Grove Rod and Gun Club. Each one does a 3D shoot once a month, and they're all within like a 30-minute drive. So we're very blessed, right? But San Diego Archers, they somehow, I don't know how they did it, but they lined up where we're doing a 3D and an Olympic style shoot at the Del Mar Fair, now called the San Diego County Fair, which is one of the biggest fairs in the world. It's massive. And it's tomorrow. So the 3D is at noon. Well, this will come out later. So it's on June 20th, right? And so at noon is the 3D, and then 4 p.m. is the Olympic style shooting. And I had intended to do both. I really wanted to shoot both. But it's also Brianna's birthday tomorrow. So we have a birthday dinner with actually your girl, Paige Pierce, ASA legend, going to be there, which is pretty cool. But so because of that, I can't do the Olympic. It won't finish in time to make it to the dinner. So only doing the 3D. But yeah, it's going to be pretty sick, dude. There's going to be a big crowd. It's in like an arena. I don't know. It should be pretty neat. I told you the numbers earlier. They say the fair usually averages between 30,000 and 100,000 people per day, and this is on a Saturday, so it's going to be closer to that 100K number. So I'm pretty excited. The bow feels great. I'm actually using the bow I'm going to shoot at Bowhunter Games that I used at Reading. It will not be Bowhunter approved yet because I'm just shooting it how I had it at Reading, and then after that I'm making it for Bowhunter Games. But feel really locked in. I feel really ready to bring home a W at it. So we'll see how we do, but it's going to be fun. And it's going to be electric. That's what I care about. It should hopefully be pretty electric. And we're going to film the whole thing so people could check out the video, Bow Disciples YouTube, and hopefully it goes safe and goes smooth. But I'm excited. It's just something totally different, just like Bowhunter Games that we get to do right here at in San Diego, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about or questions you had, Bowhunter Games, ASA, archery in general, before we wrap this thing up?
I don't think so, man. I'm just excited to get out there. I appreciate you having us on. And like I said, I admire what you're doing and can't wait to be a part of it. And anything that, you know, Brianna or I could do to help the event hit or go off, we're all in, man. I'm excited. It's going to be a really, really good time.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for what you and Brianna do, and thanks for continuing to be a great representative for archery. For more information, everybody out there on James and Brianna, check out Bow Disciples on all social platforms. You can find out more about Bowhunter Games at bowhunter.games. And that'll take you right to the website. Information's on there. Rules are on there. You can register for both the fun shoot and the money class there. Hope to see you all in August.